Welcome to Newsmax TV. I'm Kathleen Walter. With us now on the phone is Representative John Mica, Republican from Florida. He's the chairman on the subcommittee on government operations in the Oversight and Government Reform Committee and a senior member of the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. And Representative Mica, thanks so much for being with us today.
So good to be with you. Thank you.
Well, you just wrapped up an Oversight Committee hearing on the IRS's targeting of conservatives, in which for the first time two key agency officials testified, Carter Hall and Elizabeth Hoffaker. What did you find out from them, and does their testimony prove that the scrutiny of Tea Party applicants was being directed by IRS officials in Washington?
Well, I think today's testimony, Ms. Hoffaker testified very clearly that she sought guidance from above and direction. Mr. Hull, who was in Washington, he sought guidance further up the chain from Lois Lerner's office. And he also indicated that the questions how to proceed went beyond even that office to the political. There are two political appointees. One is, of course, the commissioner, and then is the legal counsel. And the counsel's office was also involved. So that's, I guess his name's William Wilkins. So what we're trying to do is take this methodically. We're talking to the people in Cincinnati. Now we've started talking to folks at the Washington level and find out, again, who directed what scrutiny and of what organizations.
So just how high up do you believe this scandal goes? Was the targeting of people?
Right now, as a result of today and interviewing witnesses, we've got it up to one of the two political appointees' office in IRS. So we don't know. We haven't talked to all of these individuals at the Washington level. We wanted to, do a thorough job and find out what took place in Cincinnati. And now they clearly they have pointed the finger consistently at Washington. So now we take it to that level.
Lois Lerner has so far refused to testify.
That's right.
She's invoked her Fifth Amendment rights at one hearing, but because she delivered a statement, she might have in fact waived those rights. Do you expect that after this, Lois Lerner will indeed reappear and be forced to testify before the committee?
She may very well be called back. That's a decision of the chairman and the legal counsel. As you know, we did have a vote in the committee, and again, it's up to the chairman and the legal counsel as to whether they bring her back and question her again.
Are you satisfied that the IRS has since corrected the problem and our conservative and Tea Party groups now getting a fair shake?
Well, I think there's been enough attention to see that what was taking place for a period of time is probably concluded. We'll know better as you continue this. But, you have to be thorough. The other side is, first they've tried to close down the investigation. Then they tried to take selective parts out of testimony we were getting, because when they sit in on these depositions and hearing from folks, they take selective parts and then use that to, again, try to close down the investigation, not telling the whole truth. They tried to discredit the chairman, and today is their attempt to discredit the inspector general who conducted the audit. So that's a little bit of a cat and mouse game they're playing.
Mm-hmm. Now, President Obama just a couple of months ago said he didn't know anything about this. Do you believe him, or did you believe him when he said that?
Well, I would tend to. Now, again, I don't think anyone's made an accusation that the president was involved. I think what we've tried to do is find out who was involved. It wasn't just a group of IRS rogue, as they've said, employees who gathered around a water cooler in the office in Cincinnati where some of these applications were processed that decided to do this. And again, the witness we had today from that office clearly stated that she sought direction from Washington. Mr. Hull from the Washington office, that he sought guidance from Ms. Lerner's office, and he understood also that the legal counsel, who was a political appointee, was also involved. So you take it up the chain. try to find out where this started, who was responsible for the way these applications were handled. If conservative groups were just singled out, we don't know that. As a matter of fact, they've said maybe some progressive groups, although, again, Ms. Hoffaker said today she did not have any progressive groups. She was targeting, I guess they had to have Tea Party or Patriot in their titles. So you take it a step by step, and that's what we've tried to do in a responsible manner.
Could criminal charges be filed against the individuals behind this? Well,
again, there's always that possibility. I think that the Inspector General had said that he would he might have referrals. The committee can do referrals. And we found today that the Department of Justice and FBI is doing some investigation. Both of the witnesses that we had, the Cincinnati witness in Washington, had been contacted by either the FBI and or the Department of Justice.
Mm-hmm. Representative Mica, while we have you, I want to get your take on a couple other stories making headlines this week, beginning with immigration. The bipartisan group of senators who crafted immigration legislation just revealed a list of 121 Republicans they view as persuadable in moving forward their comprehensive immigration bill in the House. Your name is on their list, apparently. Should the House take up the Senate legislation?
No. I think we have our own procedures. I think we have at least 4 distinctive bills. 3 of them, I think I'm inclined to support the House measures as I've seen outlined, but I've not seen the final on each of them as they're coming out. I personally do not support the pathway to citizenship, and just have a very strong personal and philosophical reason not to support that.
Now, in the mainstream media, there's a perception that given House Republicans' opposition to the legislation, that immigration reform will die a slow death this year. Do you believe that to be the case, or do you think we'll have a law this year?
I don't know. I think that's above my pay grade, unfortunately, but we'll see. There is a cry for reform, if it could be accomplished. I've cited to you, my particular position, but you have this isn't a Republican or Democrat issue. It's highly personal because you come from different districts and you represent different constituencies, and then my particular position is formulated by my personal history. All of my grandparents were immigrants, legal immigrants who worked very hard, who struggled, and who went through a process that took some years to gain their citizenship. And I don't want that sacrifice and process that they went through set aside. So that's, again, where I'm coming from.
Turning to Obamacare real quickly, the House voted Wednesday to delay implementation of Obamacare's individual and employer mandates. Can you share with us how you voted? And I know Republicans are trying, but can they be successful in putting a stop to the law?
Well, being a strong supporter of the president, just kidding, but supporting the president's desire to put off the employer mandate was one of the votes, and I supported that. But I also supported, again, the individual mandate if we're going to allow a delay for employers, the individuals, too. I think that right now Obamacare is spinning out of control. They've devised a very bureaucratic system, and they don't have the mechanisms in place, even if they wanted to go forward, not to mention is it appropriate and helpful to as a package for the American people to have that particular law in place, and I'm for replacing it.
A couple more questions for you real quickly. As chairman of the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee last term, you were very critical of Homeland Security Secretary Janet Napolitano's invasive body scanners at our nation's airports. Now that she's stepping down, who would you like to see replace her?
Well, that's the president's prerogative. I've heard some folks named who I think could do a good job. I think that this Napolitano, the secretary, did not have the management skills. It's a very difficult agency. We combine 22 activities of government and agencies with 200,000 people. So it's a tough one, even for people like Chertoff and Ridge to tackle. She was out of her league. I think we created that in haste. We need to look at dismantling the Department of Homeland Security and having actually a Homeland Security agency that deals with connecting the dots and information that allows us to go after people or terrorist organizations that pose risk and get that translated into some of those agencies. They would work much better independently. So I won't name any favorites, but I think we need to go beyond just putting in a new figurehead. We need dramatic reform of a huge monstrosity we created.
And what do you make of a report out of Rochester, New York today that the TSA is now inspecting valet parked cars at the airport there without passengers' consent?
Well, TSA, again, every day, it's an agency gone wild. They're up to 66,000 employees. No one ever imagined that. They're looking for things to do, and some of them are offensive. Some of them make no sense. Again, it's an agency that cries out for reform and change.
All right, Representative John Mica, Republican from Florida, thanks so much for being with us today.
Great to be with you. Thank you now.
And thank you for watching Newsmax TV.